Hi, hello, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Bazone again. I'm here to do a quick little lesson on character analysis with you. I know last week in language arts you were working on character traits and looking at the characters in the story and identifying their outside traits, what they look like on the outside, and also identifying their traits on the inside. So today we're going to take it a little step forward and we are going to think about three things when looking at the characters and their traits to dig down deeper to do a better character analysis. So three things that we're going to look at is the words that the characters are saying. We're going to look at the thoughts that the characters are having, and we're going to look at their actions. So you can see I put a box around words. That's because after we're done reading the text, we're going to go back and box the words that the main character is saying. We're going to go back and circle the thoughts that the main character is having. And we're going to put a little star by some of the actions that the main character has. And then when we're all done, we're going to talk about how the character was in the beginning of the story and how the character changed by the end of the story. And that's how you do a true character analysis. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to read the story aloud to you. And as I'm reading aloud, you're going to think about the words the character is saying, the thoughts the character is having, and the actions, what the character is doing. So before we do that, I want you to go ahead and take a close look at the picture here before we read, because it's very important to look at the illustrations before you read the text. And as I study this illustration here, I notice that there are two people in the picture. There's one back here, one character, and he seems a little bit older. Again, I'm talking about those outside character traits. He has a baseball and a baseball glove, so that tells me that maybe he probably likes baseball. We have another character over here who's working on a computer. He looks younger than the first character we talked about. So, and he looks very into his computer, and he doesn't look like he is very interested in the baseball, but we'll find out what's going to happen in the story. So now the title of this story is Dylan Hits a Homer. So who's Dylan and who's hitting the homer? I don't know, but as I'm reading, again, don't forget, listen for the characters' words, think about what the character is thinking, and the actions of the character. Dylan's grandfather stood in the door. "Hi, pal," he said. "I'm in the middle of a game," thought Dylan. "Hi, Gramps," he replied with a "I've got a surprise for you," Gramps continued. "What?" Dylan asked. "Maybe it's that new computer game I want," he thought, smiling. "It's a baseball," Gramps said. "Let's try it out." Dylan frowned as he got his bat and followed his grandfather outside. Gramps threw the baseball. Dylan swung at it. Whack! Dylan watched the ball sail away. "You hit a homer," Gramps exclaimed. "That's great," Dylan grinned. "Pitch another one," he exclaimed. So, I hope you were thinking about those three things that I was hoping you would be thinking about. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to put a box around all the things that Dylan said. We're going to circle Dylan's thoughts, and then we're going to put a star by Dylan's actions. All right, so let's start with the color green, and let's start with what Dylan said in the story. So Dylan says, "Hi, Gramps." And I'm identifying what he says with the quotation marks. He says, "What Dylan frowned. Let's see, you hit a homer. And then Dylan says, that's great. Pitch another one, he exclaimed. So here's all the things that Dylan said. Those are his words in the story. We're going to just focus on him because he's one of the main characters. And then we can talk about Gramps at another time. So let's look now at his thoughts. This story is excellent because they identified the things that Dylan is thinking by putting the thoughts in italicized prints. So here he says, I'm in the middle of the game. Now remember, he says those things in his head. He doesn't say them out loud. And then he says, ooh, well, maybe that's the new computer game I want. So it seems to me that Dylan is not thinking about baseball. He's only thinking about the computer. So, and let's do the actions in pink. So we see here, he frowned. That's an action. He got his bat. He followed his grandfather outside. He swung at it. He watched the baseball sail away. And he grinned. Okay, so here we looked at the text, we read the text, we identified the words Dylan said, we identified the thoughts Dylan had, and we identified Dylan's actions. So let's talk about it. How would you say that Dylan was? How would you describe his character in the beginning of the story? I would think that in the beginning of the story, he was a little bit annoyed with Grandpa, right? Because all he wanted to do was play his video games on his computer, and here is Gramps wanting to play baseball. We know that he sighed. That's one of the actions. He said, maybe I should put a star over here, right? Because he was sighing. All right, so in the beginning of the story, he seemed annoyed. He didn't want to play baseball. He was not interested at all. But what happened at the end of the story? At the end of the story, he got his baseball bat. He was grinning. He swung at it. He hit a home run. So by the end of the story, Dylan was happy. He was interested. He was having a good time. So, in this short little story that I read to you, with just this one character that we talked about for a few minutes, we have ourselves a little bit of a character analysis because we know in the beginning of the story, just by looking and thinking about his words, thoughts, and actions, we know that he was annoyed. He was not interested. He just wanted to play on his computer. But by the end of the story, he took the chance. He went out with Gramps. He played baseball. He was happy. He was interested. And he was having a good time with his grandpa. So there you go. All you have to do is think about the words the characters are saying, the things that they are thinking, and their actions. And think about how they change throughout the story. And you, too, can do your very own character analysis on any story that you read. So after this, you're going to go ahead and you're going to listen to the story. You have a graphic organizer you're going to work on. You're going to use this character traits that the teachers put together for you. And you can always revisit this video if you need a little bit more help. So good luck. And if you need help, you can always reach out to me too. Bye-bye.